Good start. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of For Pete's Sake, the ongoing series in which I discuss my dad's record collection one by one to find out who he was and what music meant to him and all that stuff. I'm here at Flamborough Head, which was one of my dad's favourite places, to talk about a band who me and my dad both loved, and that was and is Oasis. The reason I'm doing that is because I saw him last week, and also because, you know, it's a nice place. Special. I wanted to do something special for this episode. I've no idea how this is going to go in terms of sound, or how it looks, or any of that stuff. So let's just see how it goes. I'm going to try and get through it pretty quickly as well, because there's no one here at the minute. But if someone does turn up, this is going to be quite embarrassing. So, when I was 8 years old, my dad turned up with a stereo system out of nowhere. I've spoke about it in almost every episode. The tiered system with the record player, the CD player, the cassette deck. And he wasn't a man prone to expensive stuff or impulse buys. But one day he brought it home to our house and it was incredibly exciting. I remember setting it up. Obviously he was getting annoyed because he couldn't do it, but eventually when we did get it up and running, just the excitement of being able to play a CD was palpable, yeah, so exciting. It wasn't Christmas or anything either. It was just a normal day. It was autumn, as I recall, and he bought 4 albums that day as well. He bought Dogman Star by Suede, Different Class by Pulp, Part Life by Blur, and Definitely Maybe by Oasis. And I love all those albums now and all those bands. But listening to Definitely Maybe for the first time was really when I fell in love with Oasis. And then later he bought Morning Glory as well. Not long after that, because this was in 1995. Just see if I'm... here it is. So, I've got that very copy of Morning Glory here. This is the actual one that my dad bought in 1995. It's nice. Still going strong. The booklet's a little weathered and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, still got it. So, yeah, he brought those home, and listening to Oasis for the first time changed my life. Everyone has that band who kind of gets you into music, and for me that band was Oasis. And I'll always thank my dad for that. Now, he'd stopped buying new music at this time, and what I now understand, as a man of 38, is that was his last throw of the dice to try and be relevant and cool, was buying those albums. He never really bought any new music again after that, so that was pretty much it. And he did listen to him a lot, but obviously it wasn't enough to convince him to continue buying new music. But he did love Oasis, and that album was on all the time in our house. So I just want to talk a little bit about car journeys. Is there anything better than a car journey with your dad, with the music on, both of you singing, going somewhere exciting? We used to go to Bridlington all the time when I was a kid, stay in a caravan. And 2 years in a row, I remember, my dad drove out, well, my mum and my brother were back in the caravan. My dad drove me out here to Flamborough Head. And I remember the car journey. I always loved it, just having him to myself. And we'd have the radio on, and I've just got a really clear memory of the song Good Enough by Dodgy playing while we're driving to Flamborough. And I'd never been before, and I was so excited. And then we get here, and he's telling me about his memories, and you know, we're looking at the rocks and the seaweed and the water, and just a perfect memory for me. Really perfect. And it was a special place for him because he used to come here when he was a boy, and we scattered my grandma's ashes here also after she died. So a real strong lineage for this place. Yeah, so I love those memories. And then when I got older, I would make mixtapes or mix CDs to play in the car, and it'd all be stuff that my dad didn't know. It'd be my music, and I'd be just waiting for him to turn to me and say, "Who's this, Rob?" And my heart would soar that I'd managed to find a song that he enjoyed as well, because it didn't happen that often. And that's what I was going for, was to play that song that grabbed his attention. I loved that. Anyway, to get back to Oasis, he kind of lost touch with them after the second album, But by the time Be Now came out in 1997, they'd stopped being his band and started being my band. The band that I loved, the band that, as I say, really changed my life. Them and kind of Nirvana a few years later were the ones who, without those two bands, I wouldn't be standing here today recording this video. So here's a picture of me and my dad. This is at Bridlington Beach. And he loved the sea, my dad, because he had bad psoriasis and the salt water would ease it. So yeah, all the memories of him kind of in these places at the seaside are just really, really happy memories for me. Beautiful. And being here now, it's 7 in the morning, gorgeous sunshine. Driving over here by myself, man, I'd have given anything to have him sat there in the car next to me, talking about music, talking a little bit about Oasis. And when I was at the gig last week in Edinburgh, Murrayfield, if you go on my blog, www.robscene.com, I'll put a link in the description. You can read my review. I'm not going to go into the full details, but there were certain songs when I kind of pointed up to the sky and thought, yeah, you know, that's for you, Dad, that one. Cast No Shadow, he really loved that one. And when Oasis played that, I got a little bit emotional thinking about, I wish I could tell him how good this gig has been. So I've got a few other things here that people might be interested in. Just a few 7-inches. This one is probably the most interesting one. This is Live Forever. A 7-inch of Live Forever, and this is numbered as well, which makes it rare. This is going for about 80 quid now, but I'd have bought it from a record shop for maybe 15-20 quid a few years ago. And then these two were both purchased from HMV. HMV went through a spell of selling 7-inch vinyls for like 3-4 quid. So I've got loads of these at home, but these are the only two Oasis ones. I've got The Importance of Being Idle, Shock of the Lightning. Good stuff. So I'm not sure what else there is to say really. And as I say, I'm conscious of people arriving and how much of a dickhead I'd look doing this. But when I finish recording this video, I think I'm just going to sit a while and, you know, look over at the rocks and watch the sun rising over the waves and just think a little bit about, you know, the happy memories that I have here. And I wonder if I can show you what it looks like out there. What a view, eh? See you next time, guys.